"I'm not a thief," Rashid said before Fatima could speak. "Before you report me, before you ruin my life, at least let me explain what you think you found. I found 847 million in suspicious transactions. Shell companies. Inflated art purchases. Property deals that make no financial sense. All connected to your client accounts." Fatima stayed by the door, ready to run. "That's not thinking I found something. That's knowing. You're right. It is money laundering." Rashid stood, moved to the window. "But I'm not stealing from Meridian. I'm stealing from someone else. Someone who deserves it. Someone who killed my family and got away with it because they're too powerful for law enforcement to touch. That's vigilante justice. That's still crime. It's revenge. And it's justice when the courts fail." He turned to face her. "My father was Ahmad al-Zahrani. He ran a real estate development company in Riyadh. 10 years ago, his business partner, a man named Khalid al-Rashid, orchestrated a fraud that bankrupted my father's company. My father lost everything. The shame drove him to suicide. My mother died 6 months later from grief. My sister," his voice cracked. "My sister was only 16. She married a man 40 years older because we had no money for her education, no dowry, nothing. She died in childbirth 3 years ago." Fatima's throat tightened. "I'm sorry, but that doesn't justify. Khalid al-Rashid is now worth 3 billion. He owns half of Riyadh's commercial real estate. He's politically connected, legally untouchable, morally bankrupt. And for 10 years I've been planning how to destroy him." Rashid pulled out a file, slid it across his desk. "Everything you found? That's al-Rashid's money. Funds he embezzled from my father. Profits he made from companies he stole. I've been slowly, methodically, moving it out of his accounts and into structures he can't trace. In 6 months I'll have taken everything. Every rial. Every property. Every asset. He'll be exactly where my father was, ruined and hopeless." Fatima opened the file. Transaction logs. Property deeds. Shell company registrations. All tracing back to al-Rashid's empire. "This is insane. This is justice. This is going to get you arrested. Only if someone reports me." Rashid's eyes locked on hers. "You're the only person who's found the pattern. Your audit is sitting on your desk, not yet filed with compliance. You have a choice, Miss El-Amin. Turn me in and let al-Rashid keep the money he stole from my family. Or help me finish what I started." "Help you? I'm a financial analyst, not a—" "You're brilliant. I've been watching you since you started. You found in 3 months what internal audits miss for 5 years. You see patterns no one else sees. You could help me accelerate the timeline. Take everything from al-Rashid in months instead of years. Why would I commit career suicide for your revenge? Because you're Egyptian. Because you grew up in Cairo watching powerful men steal from ordinary people and face no consequences. Because your father lost his government pension to corruption and died in poverty, while the minister who stole it lives in a palace." Rashid had researched her, knew her history. "Because you understand that sometimes the only justice available is the kind we make ourselves." Fatima's hands trembled. "You're asking me to become a criminal. I'm asking you to become a partner in something bigger than profit margins and quarterly reports. To use your skills for something that matters." He moved closer. 6 months. Help me finish this. Then we both disappear. New identities. New lives. Enough money to live anywhere we want. And the satisfaction of knowing we destroyed a man who deserved it. I need time to think. You have until tomorrow morning. After that, I'll assume you're filing your report and I'll be gone. You'll never see me again. Al-Rashid will keep his empire. And you'll go back to analyzing spreadsheets for people who don't care about justice, only profit." Fatima left his office, rode the elevator down in silence, walked through Dubai's gleaming streets trying to process what had just happened. At home she researched. Found news articles about Ahmad al-Zahrani's suicide. Found records of Khalid al-Rashid's sudden rise in wealth immediately after. Found a wedding announcement for Rashid's sister, 16 years old, marrying a man old enough to be her grandfather. Found an obituary. Layla al-Zahrani, dead in childbirth at 19. Fatima cried for a girl she'd never met. Then she made her decision. "I'll help you," Fatima said the next morning, walking into Rashid's office before anyone else arrived. But not for revenge. For justice. And not for 6 months. For 3. We accelerate the timeline, take everything and expose al-Rashid's crimes publicly. Make sure everyone knows what he did. Rashid's smile was devastating. 3 months. Public exposure. I can work with that. They became partners. Not officially. Fatima remained a junior analyst on paper. But every night after the office emptied, they worked together in Rashid's office, mapping al-Rashid's empire, finding vulnerabilities, orchestrating the perfect financial takedown. He has 400 million in property trusts, Rashid explained, pointing to documents. If we can prove the properties were purchased with embezzled funds, we can force liquidation. But we need evidence from the original fraud. I can get it. My contact at the Riyadh Commercial Court owes me a favor. He can pull sealed case files. That's illegal. So is everything we're doing. Fatima smiled. Might as well commit to the crime fully. They worked 16-hour days. Fatima learned how to create shell companies, structure offshore accounts, move money through international systems designed to hide transactions. Rashid taught her the art of financial deception, not to profit but to punish. And somewhere between late-night strategy sessions and early morning coffee runs, and the intimate conspiracy of sharing a crime, Fatima started falling for him. It began small. The way Rashid remembered her coffee order. The way he asked about her mother's health. The way he looked at her when she solved a particularly complex financial puzzle, like she was brilliant instead of just useful. Your father would be proud of you, he said one night after she'd cracked al-Rashid's Liechtenstein trust structure. My father would be horrified I'm committing financial crimes. Your father would understand that sometimes breaking unjust laws is the only moral choice. Rashid's hand covered hers on the desk. Thank you. For believing me. For helping me. For being the partner I needed when I thought I had to do this alone. Don't thank me yet. We still have to pull it off without getting arrested. We will. I have faith in us. The word felt dangerous and perfect. The first transfer happened on week 6. 50 million moved from al-Rashid's property trust to a shell company in the Cayman Islands. Then immediately to a victims fund Rashid had established for people who'd lost money in his father's bankruptcy. Not anonymous. Al-Rashid would see exactly where his money went. Would know someone was dismantling his empire. He'll come after you, Fatima warned. Let him come. I've been preparing for this confrontation for 10 years. Al-Rashid came 3 days later. Not to Rashid's office. To Fatima's apartment. She opened her door to find 2 men in expensive suits and 1 man in traditional thobe. Khalid al-Rashid himself, older than his photos, with the cold eyes of someone who destroyed lives and lost no sleep. Miss El-Amin. May we speak inside? I don't know who you are. Yes you do. You've been helping Rashid al-Zarani steal from me. I'm here to make you an offer before this gets unpleasant. Against her better judgment, Fatima let them in. Rashid is using you, al-Rashid said, settling into her modest living room like he owned it. He's convinced you I'm a monster. That I stole from his father. That I deserve punishment. None of that is true. Ahmad al-Zarani was a bad businessman who made terrible investments. I offered to help him. He refused. His pride destroyed him, not me. I've seen the case files. The evidence. The evidence is circumstantial. The courts found me not guilty. Rashid can't accept that his father failed on his own merit, so he's created a conspiracy theory and dragged you into it. Al-Rashid leaned forward. Here's my offer. Walk away. Stop helping him. I'll pay you 10 million and guarantee you'll never face prosecution. Continue helping him, and I'll ensure you're arrested alongside him when this inevitably collapses. I'm not for sale. Everyone is for sale, Miss El-Amin. The only question is price. He stood. You have 72 hours to decide. After that, I'll assume you've made your choice and respond accordingly. After they left, Fatima called Rashid. Al-Rashid knows. He came to my apartment. Tried to bribe me. Are you safe? For now. But he's threatening arrest. Threatening both of us. Then we accelerate. Move everything this week instead of over 3 months. Hit him hard and fast before he can stop us. That's riskier. But necessary. Can you do it? Fatima thought about the girl in the obituary, about her own father dying in poverty, about all the people powerful men crushed and forgot. Yes, I can do it. They spent the next week in a blur of financial warfare, moving Al-Rashid's money, liquidating his properties, exposing his shell companies. Fatima barely slept, barely ate, just worked with the focused intensity of someone who'd found her purpose. On day 6, Rashid kissed her. They were in his office celebrating the successful transfer of Al-Rashid's final $200 million, and Rashid just grabbed her and kissed her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. "I'm sorry," he said when they broke apart. "That was inappropriate. We're partners. I shouldn't." "Do it again." He did. And Fatima kissed him back with all the pent-up tension and attraction and impossible intimacy of two people sharing a magnificent crime. "This is complicated," she whispered. "Everything about us is complicated. Might as well add romance to the chaos." They made love in his office, surrounded by evidence of their conspiracy. Two criminals claiming each other while dismantling an empire. "What happens after?" Fatima asked afterward, lying in his arms. "After we've taken everything from Al-Rashid, after we expose him, what do we become? Free. Together. Whatever we want. I want normal. A life where we're not criminals. Then that's what we'll build. I promise." The final move was elegant. Fatima and Rashid had spent 8 weeks systematically dismantling Al-Rashid's empire. Every property sold. Every offshore account emptied. Every shell company dissolved. 847 million redistributed to victim funds, charity organizations, and the families Al-Rashid had destroyed. But that wasn't enough. Rashid wanted public humiliation, so they compiled everything. Every document. Every transaction. Every piece of evidence showing how Al-Rashid had stolen from Ahmad al-Zahrani, used fraud to build his empire, bribed officials to avoid prosecution. And they sent it to every news outlet in the Gulf. The storm that destroyed Al-Rashid broke on a Thursday. Al Jazeera led with it. Reuters picked it up. By Friday, Khalid al-Rashid's face was on every screen in the Arab world, labeled as a fraud, a thief, a man who destroyed families and hidden behind political connections. "It's working," Fatima said, watching the coverage from Rashid's apartment. "He's ruined." "Not yet. Ruined is when he faces consequences. Right now he's just exposed." The consequences came faster than expected. Saudi authorities arrested al-Rashid on Saturday, froze his remaining assets, charged him with fraud, embezzlement and bribery. His political connections abandoned him. His business associates denied knowing him. The empire he'd built on stolen money collapsed in 72 hours. "We did it," Rashid said, holding Fatima. "We actually did it. We did. But now what? The authorities will investigate how the money moved. They'll trace it back to us. Not if we disappear first." They had planned for this. New identities purchased months ago. Money hidden in accounts authorities couldn't trace. A boat waiting in Abu Dhabi to take them to Oman, then flights to Southeast Asia where they'd vanish into new lives. "Are you ready?" Rashid asked. "To leave everything? Your career, your country, your family." "My mother died last year. I have no siblings. My career was analyzing numbers for people who don't care about justice. I'm leaving nothing that matters." She took his hand. "Except maybe my integrity. My belief that I was a good person. That's gone now. You are a good person. You just learned that good people sometimes have to break bad laws to achieve good outcomes. That's a convenient rationalization for crime. It's the truth. And you know it." They left Dubai on Sunday night, crossed into Oman without incident, flew to Bangkok under new names, Marcus Chan and Sarah Williams, Canadian citizens with impeccable documentation. And for 3 perfect weeks they were free. They rented an apartment in Chiang Mai, explored night markets and temple ruins, made love like people who'd stolen time from fate, talked about building a legitimate life, maybe opening a financial consulting firm, maybe teaching, maybe just existing without constantly looking over their shoulders. Then Interpol found them. The arrest happened at a cafe in Chiang Mai's old city. Fatima was ordering coffee when she saw them, Thai police and Interpol agents moving with purpose. She caught Rashid's eye. Ran. They made it 3 blocks before tactical teams surrounded them. Guns drawn. Commands shouted in Thai and English. No escape. Rashid Al-Zarani and Fatima El-Amin, you're under arrest for financial fraud, money laundering and theft. You have the right to remain silent. The interrogation lasted 12 hours. Fatima and Rashid were separated, questioned by different agents, offered deals if they testified against each other, threatened with decades in prison if they didn't cooperate. Miss El-Amin, the lead investigator said in perfect Arabic, we know you were coerced. Rashid Al-Zarani is a master manipulator. He seduced you into his scheme. Testify against him and we'll recommend leniency. 5 years instead of 20. I wasn't coerced. I chose to help him. Why? Because Khalid al-Rashid deserved what happened to him. Because the legal system failed to provide justice. Because sometimes good people have to break bad laws. That's not how justice works. Your justice protects men like al-Rashid and punishes people who expose them. Forgive me if I don't have faith in your system. They charged both of them, extradited them to Dubai where the crimes had originated, put them in separate facilities while building the case. Fatima spent 2 months in detention before trial. 2 months of questioning her choices, wondering if destroying al-Rashid was worth destroying her own life. Then she got a visitor. Ahmad al-Zarani's widow, Rashid's mother, who Rashid had said died from grief. He lied to protect me, Mrs. al-Zarani explained, sitting across from Fatima in the visitation room. Said I was dead so no one would target me for his actions. But I'm alive. And I'm here to thank you for helping my son get justice for his father. You don't think we're criminals? I think you're heroes. My husband died believing he'd failed our family. Believing the world was unjust and we had no recourse. What you and Rashid did, returning that money to victims, exposing al-Rashid, proving that justice is possible. That gave his death meaning. We're going to prison for it. Perhaps. But you'll go knowing you mattered. That you fought for something bigger than yourself. That's more than most people can say. After she left, Fatima cried. Not from fear or regret. From relief that what they'd done had mattered to someone. The trial was media spectacle. Prosecutors painted Fatima and Rashid as thieves who'd stolen 847 million. Defense attorneys painted them as vigilantes seeking justice where the courts had failed. The truth, as always, was somewhere in between. Fatima testified for 6 hours. Explained every transaction. Every decision. Every choice that had led her from financial analyst to international criminal. Do you regret it? The prosecutor asked. I regret that we had to break laws to achieve justice. I regret that the legal system failed so completely that vigilante action was the only option. But do I regret helping Rashid expose al-Rashid? No. Never. Even knowing you'll go to prison? Even knowing that. The verdict came back guilty on all counts. Rashid got 15 years. Fatima got 12, less time because she'd had no prior criminal history, and the judge believed she'd been influenced by Rashid's grief. They were allowed one final conversation before being sent to separate facilities. I'm sorry, Rashid said, holding her hands through the prison visitation glass. Sorry I dragged you into this. Sorry you're paying the price for my revenge. Stop apologizing. I made my choice. I'd make it again. Why? Because loving you, helping you, was the first time in my life I did something that mattered more than my career or my reputation. You gave me purpose. Gave me the chance to be part of something meaningful. That's worth 12 years. I love you. I'll wait for you. However long it takes. I love you too. And when we get out, we build that normal life. The one with no crimes and no conspiracies. Just us. Just us. I promise. Fatima served 8 years before parole. Good behavior. Model prisoner. Genuine remorse. Not for exposing al-Rashid, but for the methods she'd used. Rashid served 11. Also paroled early for similar reasons. They were released 3 months apart and met in Istanbul, neutral territory where neither of them had criminal history. A small cafe overlooking the Bosphorus, where East met West and new beginnings felt possible. You look different, Rashid said when they finally embraced. I am different. 8 years changes a person. Better different or worse? Different. Not the naive analyst who thought financial regulations were sacred. Not the criminal who thought laws didn't apply to justice. Just Fatima. Older. Wiser. Still loving you. I'm different too. I spent 11 years thinking about what I did. Whether it was worth it. Whether destroying Al-Rashid justified becoming what I became. What conclusion did you reach? That it was worth it. But I'd never do it again. Once was enough. He took her hand. I want to build something legitimate now. Something good. With you. They settled in Istanbul. Started a financial consulting firm that helped small businesses avoid fraud. Legitimate work. Legal work. Using their skills to prevent the kind of corruption they'd once battled through crime. Fatima taught financial literacy to refugee women. Rashid worked with victims of fraud, helping them recover stolen assets through proper legal channels. And every evening, they'd walk along the Bosphorus and talk about the people they'd been. The banker and the analyst who'd laundered money and hearts together. Do you regret it? Fatima asked one evening, 5 years into their new life. Everything we lost? The years in prison? The careers we'll never have again? I regret the methods. The crime. The years we lost. Rashid pulled her close. But I don't regret meeting you. Don't regret having a partner who understood that sometimes justice requires sacrifice. Don't regret building this life from the ashes of our mistakes. We're criminals who became heroes who became criminals who became human. Just human. Making the best choices we could with impossible situations. They married quietly. No fanfare. No guests except Mrs. Al-Zarani, who traveled from Riyadh to witness her son finally find peace. My husband would have been proud, she told Fatima. Not of the crime, but of you. Of the woman who helped my son become more than his anger. Who showed him that justice matters but mercy matters more. Who loved him enough to risk everything. I didn't do it for pride or recognition. I did it because it was right. That's why it mattered. Because you did it anyway. Years later, when Khalid al-Rashid died in prison, never having recovered his empire, never having regained his status, Fatima felt nothing. No triumph. No vindication. Just quiet acknowledgement that sometimes the world corrects itself, even if the correction comes through broken people doing broken things for reasons that defy simple judgment. What are you thinking? Rashid asked, reading about al-Rashid's death in the paper. That we won. But the cost was so high I'm not sure winning was worth it. Would you change anything? If you could go back to that night in my office when I first asked for your help. Fatima thought about the analyst she'd been. The criminal she'd become. The woman she was now, scarred, transformed, somehow more whole despite everything broken along the way. No, she said finally. I wouldn't change anything. Because every choice, good and bad, legal and criminal, right and wrong, led me here. To you. To this life. To becoming someone who knows that morality is complicated and justice is messy and love is worth breaking for. Even when love breaks you. Especially then. They stood together watching Istanbul's sunset. Two people who'd laundered money and hearts, who'd stolen wealth and traded freedom, who'd learned that the most valuable things in life, love, purpose, meaning, could never be accounted for in any spreadsheet or ledger. Fatima El-Amin had discovered a money laundering scheme on a Tuesday. And in discovering it, she discovered herself. Discovered that she was capable of crime and compassion, vengeance and love, destruction and creation. Discovered that sometimes the person you become while committing the perfect crime is more real than the person you were while following all the rules. And that was worth more than any amount of money. Stolen or earned, legal or laundered, counted or lost.